Do you have certain things that catch your attention when you're listening to the news that make you think of Scripture? As a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I see a lot of parallels between Book of Mormon stories and our modern environment. And one of the things that has really stood out to me lately is like some of the protests that are going on and that they're called like No King. So here we are, 2025, and this is going on. Are there parallels in the Book of Mormon? I immediately thought of this story in Alma 51. Now, in this situation, you've got the Nephites and the Lamanites who are mortal enemies. They've been off and on enemies every so often. But there's also some people among the Nephites themselves who are generally the ones who belong to the church and generally are trying to follow God, where the Lamanites really don't know God. Anyway, these Nephites have somebody among their midst that's stirring up some problems. So in this particular year, it's the 25th year of the reign of the judges. So they have gone from a monarchy to the last monarch, Mosiah. This isn't fair. We need to set up a series of judges. They set up a representative republic is what they did, and they called it the reign of the judges. So in the 25th year of the reign of the judges, this is what is happening. Now notice the number 25. We're in 2025. I know it doesn't parallel exactly to the government, but I believe Mormon who compiled these records saw our day, left us clues so that we would hear certain things in our own lifetime and go, wait a minute. Let's go back and look at this story. What are the parallels? So 25th year of the reign of the judges starts off in peace. They've established some peace. There's been a little bit of contention. They've settled that down. And now, but this peace did not last long. It's still in the 25th year, and there starts to be some contention among the people concerning the chief judge, and his name is Pehoran. So the chief ruler over the land, there's some contention over him. And so part of the people are desirous, they want to change a few points, it says, of the law that they should be altered. Well, Pehoran doesn't want to do this, and so he's ignoring the petitions that are being sent in, let's change this thing. And he doesn't want to do it. And the people also, they decide to put it to a vote because there's so much contention. They're trying to get rid of Pehoran. These people basically want to change the law, so they're going back to a monarchy because they're the nobility. They're the people who would have been kings if we hadn't gotten rid of the monarchy and gone with the representative republic. They feel like they should be the kings. And so they're starting up a dispute, but not to bloodshed. And then in verse 5, the king men is what they're called. They were desirous that the law should be altered in a manner to overthrow the free government and to establish a king over the land. And those who were desirous that Pehoran should remain chief judge over the land took upon them the name of freemen. And thus was the division among them, for the freemen had sworn a covenant to maintain their rights and the privileges of their religion by a free government. And it came to pass that this matter of their contention was settled by the voice of the people, and it came to pass that the voice of the people came in favor of the freemen, and Pehoran retained the judgment seat, which caused much rejoicing among, the brethren of Pehoran and everybody who was on his side. Now, those who were in favor of the kings were those of high birth, and they sought to be kings, and they were supported by those who sought power and authority over the people. So you've got this group that wants more power, feels like they deserve more power, and then you have these other people who want to go by this representative republic form of law that has been established. Okay, so all of this is happening at a critical juncture because at the very same time, the Lamanites, their enemies over time, have decided that they're ready to go on the offensive, and they're led by a former dissenter from the Nephites named Amalekite. So he, by various means of intrigue, has taken over as the king of the Lamanites, and he's coming in and wanting to really take vengeance out on Captain Moroni and all of the Nephites and everything, people who put him in his place in the past, right? So he's coming back, and he's gathering together soldiers, and he gets this huge army, and he is not afraid to go down to the land of Zarahemla, which is the center of their government. He's going to really attack at the heart of it is what he wants to do. All of this contention is going on And the voice of the people kind of settle it down where these kingmen are quiet about it. But then this attack happens. And in verse 12, it was in the 25th year, so still in that 25th year of the reign of the judges, it was at the same time that they had begun to settle the affairs of the contentions concerning the chief judge, Bahoran. And it came to pass when the men who were called kingmen had heard that the Lamanites were coming down to battle against them, they were glad in their hearts, and they refused to take up arms. For they were so wroth with the chief judge and also with the people of liberty that they would not take up arms to defend their country. So they're so mad at the leader, the chief leader, that they refuse to protect their cities. And so their cities start to fall. And one of the cities is actually called Moroni, and that's probably no coincidence that that's where they decide to start first because they hate the man Moroni. So Moroni, when he sees that these guys won't protect their cities in the border, he was exceedingly wroth because of the stubbornness of those people whom he had labored with so much diligence to preserve. And he was exceedingly wroth. His soul was filled with anger against them. And it came to pass that he sent a petition with the voice of the people unto the governor of the land, desiring that he should read it and give him, Moroni, power to compel those dissenters to defend their country or to put them to death. For it was his first care to put an end to such contentions and dissensions among the people. For behold, this had been hitherto a cause of all their destruction. Contention had been the cause of all their destruction. This disunity, this fighting amongst themselves, that was at the root of their destruction, it says. And it says this multiple times throughout this story over the next several chapters. So Moroni commands that his army should go up against these kingmen. He has permission from the voice of the people and from the leader of the land to go up against these dissenters and pull down their pride and their nobility and level them with the earth, and they should take up arms and support the cause of liberty. Now, so their armies go forth, they march against them, they pull down their pride, their nobility, insomuch that they did lift their weapons of war to fight against the men of Moroni, hewn down and leveled to the earth. So the kingmen fight back against Moroni. 4,000 of the kingmen are killed, and the rest of them, the remainder, it says in verse 20, the remainder of the dissenters, rather than be smitten down to the earth by the sword, yielded to the standard of liberty and were compelled to hoist the title of liberty, or the flag, over the people. They called it their title of liberty. It was a flag upon their towers and in their cities, and to take up arms in the defense of their country. And so Moroni puts an end to the kingmen. And in 22, it comes to pass that while Moroni was thus breaking down the wars and contentions among his own people and subjecting them to peace and civilization and making regulations to prepare for war against the Lamanites, behold, the Lamanites had come into the land of Moroni, which was on the borders by the seashore. So they start at this city named after their archenemy, and the Nephites were not sufficiently strong in this city, so Moroni is taken, the city, and Amalekite goes back, and he starts going from one city to the next. 5 major cities are taken, all the ones along the seashore are taken. Basically, this coastline, all of these cities are taken, and the Lamanites obtain this by their cunning of Amalekite, and they drive the Nephites out of these cities. This starts a war that just keeps going on for several years. A lot of people are killed and lose their lives in this war to eventually the Nephites win in the end. But bottom line, okay, so I want you to look at the parallels. We got 25, the number 25. We've got king men, king or no king in this contention. You do have a contention over the chief ruler of the land. It really doesn't matter in the great scheme of things in our own time period which side is which, okay? What matters is it's the contention that destroys the people. It's the inner turmoil that destroys the people. And if you go over in Alma 53:9, it says, and thus because of the iniquity amongst themselves, yea, and because of dissensions and intrigue among themselves, they were placed in the most dangerous circumstances. And as I was pondering on this, I thought, okay, both sides of this conflict that we are seeing in our own time period could easily say, you're the bad guy. The other people are the bad guys, okay? They can both do that. There can be good people on both sides of this saying, no, it's this person's the bad guy. These people are the bad guys. And I want to invite you to stop taking sides on this matter, because it's the taking sides and fighting and contending with each other that is causing us to be weakened. Okay, now I'm not saying you can't vie for what you think is right or true or whatever, or stand up for. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying we better figure out how to do it in a peaceful way, or we're going to pay the price. The world is ramping up around us. There's wars and rumors of wars, and we are weakening ourselves from within. And we really need to think about it. It made me think of another passage, and Jesus talks about this, but this is actually the Doctrine and Covenants, where Jesus references the parable of the 10 virgins. Doctrine and Covenants 45, 56, and 57. And at that day, when I shall come in my glory, shall the parable be fulfilled which I spake concerning the 10 virgins. For they that are wise and have received the truth and have taken the Holy Spirit for their guide and have not been deceived, verily I say unto you, they shall not be hewn down and cast into the fire, but shall abide the day. Even the elect, if it were possible, could be deceived. And you think about it, each of these sides in our modern world think the other side is deceived, right? Good people, followers of Christ, both sides, and they think the other is deceived. What if we're both deceived? What if it's not either or? What if the deception is that we've been deceived into contending and fighting and attacking one another? That we've been deceived into destroying ourselves from within, and that's really the game plan of the adversary, is to get us to destroy ourselves from within. So I think we need to start having a conversation in our families, in our communities, amongst ourselves. How can we agree to disagree? How can we come up with solutions that are unifying rather than dividing and conquering ourselves from within? We're running out of time. That's what Moroni learned in this. He was running out of time to get these people to lay down their weapons from within. And he had to take desperate measures to lay down the contention in his land in order to establish peace within, to fight the common enemy, which in our case is basically Satan's game plan. Would love to hear what you think. Y'all take care and God bless.